Hi guys, welcome to your second tutorial session looking at the basics of AutoCAD. So a lot of you would have used AutoCAD before, and there's an AutoCAD booklet describing what you need to do, but I thought I'd just make a little quick tutorial that just runs through some of the commands just to make things a little bit easier for you, and then when we have a chat on Tuesday you can let me know what things specifically are coming up as problems or issues for you, and then I'll make some more tutorial videos specifically catered to things that you need help with. Do make sure that you give the booklet a good solid go. A lot of the things will become self-explanatory to you once you experiment a bit. For example, I didn't learn AutoCAD until I went into architectural practice, and so I had to learn it on the go at the firm that I was working for at the time. So, and this is pretty common as an architecture graduate. You won't learn everything in architecture school, but you will learn how to learn, which is awesome. So have some fun with it, do some experimenting, and get stuck in. Okay, let's give it a go. So the very first thing we want to be looking at is the layers area. So if I grab my layers box, bring it over here, we can see that there's a few different lines going on. So for those of you who don't know AutoCAD, the layers you're working with, very similar to Photoshop or anything else, that you work within a layer, and that means that you can edit that layer later on without having to painstakingly find which lines belong where. Honestly, save yourself the time and just work in your layers. So my layer setup is very basic. We have a different one in the office, but this is a basic one here for you guys to follow. So AutoCAD by standard has a bunch of line weights that are common in architectural drawings: 5, 9, 13, 15, 18, 20 and so on. And what I've done is just broken these down, basically the first 10 line weights almost, and then given them a color gradient from red to blue, purple in the spectrum, so that as I'm drawing I can see on the page what lines are thin and what lines are going to be thick based on the color gradient. So obviously the 0.005 will be the thinnest lines, things in your drawing like tiles or anything that's in the background if it's in elevation, and then obviously the thickest things would be things that are cut through. But probably you'll find that once you experiment a bit and do some printing, that you, or at least exporting to PDF, that you won't really need to be using a big thick line like a 50. You probably won't even get any further than a 30 in your drawings, but that comes down to personal taste as well. Obviously the cleaner the drawings the better, and the more, not diverse, but the more depth you reveal to your drawing by showing different layers, the better. Okay, so let's bring our layers back over here. So for you guys to make a new layer, just click on the new layer, give it a title. I just title it by its line weight for ease of use for today, and then give it a color, and then give it a line weight just by clicking on everything. Happy days, nice and easy. When you finish with your layers, you can chuck it back over here to the side, and it'll lock itself away so that you can save your space for drawing. Now, important thing to remember, that if you accidentally lose your layers box, very simple way to do it, and this goes for all AutoCAD things. If you're trying to find something, just type it into the screen, and often it will come up with suggestions on what you want to find. Click enter, layer, it's now back in. Awesome. Okay, let's have a go at some of the commands that we've been given in the booklet. So line, very self-explanatory. L, line, and I draw a line on the sheet. There's my line. Press space to end the command, and then we're done. So as Shane's mentioned, it's really important to just keep your left hand for commands by using the letter commands, and then keep your right hand on the mouse, depending whether you're right or left-handed, and that'll make life really easy for you. So again, I type in L, I press space bar, that starts the command once I click, and I click again and that finishes the line, and it'll just keep drawing lines all day until I press the space bar again to end the command. Now AutoCAD has a left and right selection tool, so if you select from right to left, it will only select the things that are within the boundary. So for example, if I select that, it's only going to select these guys, whereas if I go from right to left, it's going to select everything it touches. So again, left to right, it's only going to select the things that fit within the box, or right to left, everything that it touches, it's going to select. And again, in AutoCAD, you can just keep selecting till the cows come home. If you didn't want something in there, you can press Shift when you're selecting, and it'll take it out of the selection one by one. Nice and easy. So let's delete all that stuff. Alright, next one, Polyline PL, enter. Very similar to Line Tool, but it means later on, when you're selecting your lines, it's all going to select as one line, so you don't have to bother selecting them all the time. Very good for walls and things like that. The Offset tool. So let's say we have a nice polyline square. We want to offset this. OF space. Select the amount we want to offset by, or press 50, and then we want to offset that. Oop. Let's try that again. OF offset. Oh, OFF, that's the problem. Here we go. Offset through by this much. Done. And so now we have an offset line. Beautiful. Okay, copy tool, another great one. So we draw some lines, and if we press spacebar after doing a command, it'll repeat the command again, so I don't have to keep pressing L. So I want to make a copy of these guys here. Press CO, comes up the copy, and now I can copy them across wherever I want them, and it's going to preview where it's copied to, so it makes it nice and easy to see where you're copying to. And again, AutoCAD is just going to keep repeating this command until you're finished. Press the spacebar to end. Nice and simple. The Move tool, again, got some lines. I want to move it over here, M space. I want to move it a certain distance. Let's make it 1,000 millimeters over to the right. Done. Easy. Now I want to move a copy of this. So I hold that down. Oh, sorry, that's not in AutoCAD. Awesome. Okay. Now we go Circle tool. C. Start my circle, and I'm going from the inside out. Make my circle nice and easy. Now the Fillet tool. So I've got two lines converging at a point. If I press F, fillet, and select the lines I want to fillet, it's going to cut them nice and small, and it's going to do it at a right angle unless I put in a radius. So let's do that again. Got my lines selected, we've got fillet. This time I can see down below in the dialog box that there's a couple of options I can do. Undo polyline radius, trim, or multiple. So I'm going to press R for radius. I'm going to give it a fillet radius of 20. And now I do it again. And I can see this time it's given a nice round radius of 20. Great tool. Now we got the Trim tool. Got some lines. And I want to get rid of all the lines that are intersected by this line, so now I'm going to use the Trim tool. This is the line that I want to do the cutting, so I press TR, and then I can just select these guys and get rid of them, and they're all nice and trimmed. Same again, I want this to be a nice corner, so I trim that off there. Beautiful. Now, if we want to extend the line out, so we've got a line here, I've got another line here, get rid of that one. If I want to extend these ones, I can press EX, click on this line, it's going to extend out to that one. Or if I want to extend and trim, I'll do that again. EX, hold Shift when I'm extending, it's going to bring it out to here, and cut this line off here as well. Done. Happy days. Now if I want to learn a distance, I can type in DI and specify the 2 points I want to measure from, and it'll tell me down here the distance, 1151, the distance between those 2 points. Really handy. Now if I want to do a spline, I can make some fancy curves and do some funny things, end up with some wiggly biggly Peter Zumthor's new building. There we go, done. Get rid of that. Arc tool, pretty self-explanatory. Can make an arc. And the explode tool, turning lines into segments. So if we've got a polyline, I can press explode, and it's going to turn all of these lines into individual segments for me to play with later, so that I can change this and make it a little bit different. And then I can press J for join, and that's going to join them all back together again in one polyline. Happy days. Now a few that aren't on there. So zoom extents is a really handy one when you want to find a particular part of your drawing, or if you're a bit lost in your sheet because you've got so much on the page. Sometimes you just press Z space, E space, and it will bring your sheet back out to the full extents of the drawing. So again, if I'm zoomed in all the way and I can't find where I am anymore, Z space, E space, it's brought the entire page back to where we need to be. Another tool is the pan tool, which is really helpful. So your scrolling button on your mouse, if you click that in and hold, you can scroll around the page, which makes things very handy. Another thing, as we mentioned before, if you type in something down into your dialog box without pressing space, it will give you a whole bunch of options based on what you've typed, which is always handy. So if you forget what something is, just type what you think it is and it will give you a few options. Otherwise, all of your tools that you would want are always up here in the menu and dialog boxes up here. And there's always multiple ways to do something. So say for example, we want to make a nice arc from a point. We've got two lines and we want to make an arc. So sometimes the arc that we're given, the 3-point, doesn't necessarily do what we want to do. We want just a plain arc without having this superfluous line in the end there. So we can come down to all the different types of arcs. Now I know that I want start end direction. You can experiment with the different ones that you want, but I know I just want this nice simple arc, just like that, and then I'm done. Happy days. And same thing, anywhere that there's a little triangle will always have more things that you can do and give you more options. Another important one for you to remember that's not on the book is ortho, which locks your lines. So instead of having crooked lines all over the place that aren't perfectly straight and having to hold the shift key all the time just to get your straight lines, if you're doing many straight lines, which it will be in the Barcelona pavilion, great thing to do is just to press F8 and that will lock ortho on. So now I don't have to hold shift anymore and all my lines are going to be perfectly straight from now on, which saves a whole lot of time. Another one to remember is that when you start a line, it gives you this little green point, and when you want to finish a line at a certain point, say I want to finish here, it's going to give me green when that's lined up. Or I can use that as a guide and go line that up from there, and now I want this to finish out here on that point, then I'm done and I want it to come back down over here. Happy days, spacebar to finish. There we go. So that's it for today. If you have any questions about AutoCAD, please give the booklet a good go. I'm sure you'll find it yourself. Otherwise, Tuesday, come on to the afternoon, evening session. Let me know what things you're particularly struggling with, and I'll make another video tutorial and answer everyone's questions. Hope this has been helpful. Good luck everyone, and I'll speak to you soon. Cheers.